Welcome to Your Next Stop. This is Juliette Hahn. I am a wife, mom, virtual coach, public speaker, and crazy obsessed dog lover. I am so honored to be able to take you into the life of someone that has followed a passion. Every week, I hope you are as inspired as I am. Welcome to Your Next Stop. Okay, so you guys, welcome to Your Next Stop with Juliette Hahn. I am so excited, guys. So my next guest is one of my first friends on Clubhouse. We clicked immediately. She is an assisted technology specialist. Her superpower is helping people diagnosed with complex communication needs. So I can't wait for Alisha Noterman to tell us. And Alisha, I'm so excited for you to be here. Thank you so much. And I love seeing your face, your gorgeous face. Hi.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much. I am an assistive technology specialist. And yeah, this is what I do. This is what I put my soul into every day. Thank you for having me.
Yes. Oh my gosh, please. I can't wait for you to share your story, but let's first do our quotes because we've got some good ones. Yeah. Okay. So you go first.
Okay. My quote is, and this is an Alisha Noterman original, is celebrate those who think and learn differently.
I love that. And I side note, I got my period today, so I might be a little emotional.
So did I! Oh my God!
Stop.
We're twinsies. I swear to God, I got it today.
There's so much of us, though, that is so much alike, and I absolutely adore you. I can't wait to actually physically see you so I can squeeze your face. Okay.
So likewise.
And you're going to love this quote. So mine is, no brain is the same. No brain is the best. Each brain finds its own special way. And that's by Dr. Ned Hallowell, who is just one of my favorite people because he celebrates attention deficit, ADHD. He always says positive things. He was in a room actually last night. I think I pinged you, but you weren't on. And he's going to be back April 8th. But so let's get into this episode. I can't wait for you to tell us your journey and then how and where, what you're doing for people right now. It's so close to my heart. So Alisha, so give us a little bit of background and let's just tell us how you got where you are and what you're doing.
Fantastic. So I am an assistive technology specialist, and how I started was 20 years ago. This August is our 20th year in business. So I own a company called Dynamic Therapy Solutions with my beautiful, amazing co-partner, Lisa Sandoval. But let me back up because I had a realization this morning of how I actually got here, and it's because of you, my dear. Not from the beginning, but the realization. So one of our first Clubhouse sessions that we were in, rooms, I guess is what we call it, you had asked the audience to share their scars from when they were younger we were doing a room on learning disabilities, and you had asked us to share our scars. And I have been someone who's just kind of pushed forward, that I don't really look back on those trialing times when I was a kid in learning differently.
Right. And I think that's what also connected us, because I'm the same way. I was okay, I had those scars, but I moved forward. So sorry, go ahead. So when you were a child.
Totally. So you asked us, and it came instantly to me, and that was the story of when I was in first grade. I actually loved school. I knew that learning was harder for me than the other kids, and it was very apparent to me, especially popcorn reading. I don't know if you remember that, but when the teacher asks you to read out loud, and you're literally scanning every paragraph, oh God, I don't know which one she's going to call me on. So you miss all the reading. Right.
I want to throw up in my mouth because that literally I start sweating, my armpits are sweating. That was my torture. So yes, popcorn reading sucked for me.
It still sucks, and some people are still doing it. Yeah. Yes. But so that's one of my scars was popcorn reading. But the biggest one, and the one I shared in that room, was when we were going to be moving on to second grade. The teacher, the first day of second grade, you went to your first grade, and then they get to tell you where you're moving on to. And it's just a pivotal point for you for first graders, because you want to be in the same room as your best friends that you had in first grade. So we're sitting on the carpet she all cross-legged, and she says, okay, so she would, let's say you're in my class, she would say, Juliet, you're in room 32. And I'm like, oh, I want to be in 32 with her. And she goes through and she says, Alisha, you're in room 14. And I was like, wait a minute, room 14, that's the room we're in right now. And everybody looks at me like room 14, and one kid goes, you're being held back.
Oh.
I was mortified.
Oh, I could cry right now for you.
First grade, so side note is my mom, she was not somebody who really did a whole lot with education. And she always taught us, if anybody disrespects you, you tell them to go straight to hell. This is what my mom told me back in the 80s. And so I stood up and I walked out and I walked home. And I did live far. I can't imagine my baby walking home from school in first grade by herself.
Yeah.
I walked home. So that was my scar. And what I realized this morning is I always thought I just fell upon this career because I was in school to do business and marketing. And I thought I fell into it. But what I realized is I was guided all along. Like, this is what I'm meant to do. And I put my heart and soul into it. So fast forward 20 years later, I was working at a manufacturing company for communication devices, the device that Professor Stephen Hawking used to communicate. Big deal.
So cool.
And I met my business partner, Lisa Sandoval. I hired her as a sales manager. I actually told her, you're overqualified for this job and they're probably not going to pay you enough, so you should just open a private practice. And she wanted to work for me. She kept coming back. So I was like, okay, lady, I'll hire you. And we just bonded instantly, and we realized the need. It wasn't that people needed communication devices. It was that people needed to know how to use it and how to think differently and how to teach differently. And so we started our private practice 20 years ago. It's called Dynamic Therapy Solutions. We're in Southern California, in Palmdale in the desert, and then in Chatsworth. And we're just thriving. I love it so much. I will tell you one more funny thing is that I was in business school to do sales and business and marketing. And for 20 years, I have never marketed my business until this year, ever.
Wow. Well, it's so interesting. And I don't think I realized that you were doing with that device, because my neighbor, Shane Poehler, he's cerebral palsy, and he could not speak. He couldn't speak. He was severely cerebral palsy. Brilliant guy, really awesome family. And he was in a wheelchair, and he had that device. So he would go through school and that device would speak for him. And he had that so that was in the 70s. So it was like, and it probably wasn't the exact, but it was like and I would just remember that gave him a voice because he didn't have one, but he was such a smart man. And the reason why he was cerebral palsy, it was basically the doctor at birth messed up. So he wouldn't have been, and it was like right at the end, which I know that's what happens, but that's so crazy. So tell us a little bit about what you do with your company in Southern California for families. Go into a little bit detail with that if you can, please.
Absolutely. So we provide speech therapy. I always say we empower and transform lives through communication, reading, writing, and mindset. So we don't just treat, let's get into these goals right away for how he says his S's and his R's. We always take a step back, because I know, as a parent, if the parent is like, oh my gosh, I just keep getting these notes about behaviors in the classroom setting, and I'm saying to you, no matter, he's able to say his B sound now, you're going to be happy, but you're in the back of your head going, I know he can say his B sound, but at school he is just failing. So we always treat the whole kid. We always treat the whole person first. And that includes your caregivers and your support, your parents, your grandparents, and looking at, so if you are struggling with reading, writing, which many of our kiddos are, and have speech and language issues, we're going to treat all of that. So that's kind of what we do a little differently than your traditional private speech therapy company.
But I think it's so important because the one thing is, we've talked about it. My son is dyslexic, and I have the same learning disabilities. It's like, my family has them. So I am very understanding to his, and I know, his strengths and weaknesses and stuff. But there's a lot of parents out there that don't understand when their child's struggling. And that's so detrimental to the child. Because I do say, I understand my son and I understand where I can push him and where I really can't, because it's like, that's not necessary. That's not important in life. So I love that you're teaching that to everyone so they can understand. And, my husband, who does not have learning disabilities, and really was his eyes wide open when he married me and learns my whole family. He's like, what's happening? Everyone around you, everyone in your town has attention deficit. It was, such a fun thing for him to realize. But I remember he was working for a company, and and it was so interesting and this was just this was like 3 years ago. And he was working in a company where it was a completely different technology than he's in advertising, but it was like, he was in the more of a tech world. And he said he came home one day and he's like, I was sitting in a meeting and I literally was looking around because everyone was talking a language I did not understand. And I never understood, and I'm going to get choked up, what our child sits in class and sees. He's like, I'd never realized that that's what happens. He's like, it was so uncomfortable for me. He's like, and I knew I would learn it, but now I understand. And not that he didn't understand, but he truly, someone that doesn't struggle in school or didn't struggle in school, you really don't understand until you are put in that situation. So I love that you teach the whole parent. I think that's amazing. And so give us a little bit, you have another business, right, that you guys just launched. So please, I love your entrepreneurial, you're just amazing.
Thank you so much. In 2020, it was a pivotal point for our company. I'm so proud of all of our employees. We just have an amazing team. We went virtual right away. But we realized too at that point that we needed more professional development just to deal with the emotional sides of COVID with our clients, with our employees. I brought in a mindset coach to do Monday morning meditation with all of our employees. And Lisa and I decided we really need to make a bigger impact. And what we did, we started Educate 4. Educate 4 is a brand new company. We are professional development, and our mission is to help educators, professionals teach differently. And what I mean by that is raise expectations, celebrate those who think and learn differently first. That's the first thing. They're not huge shifts. They're 2mm shifts that makes the biggest difference in educators. So we're not asking you to go learn a huge new program. We're asking for you guys to shift your thinking. Every child, person can learn, raise your expectations, and stop demonizing the supports that people use to communicate, read, or write. Like your son, right, Julia? If he needs that auditory feedback as he's reading, it's okay. Yes, we would love for him to independently read, but it's okay, and stop demonizing it in IEPs.
Yes. And I love that. And I think there was one thing that you said, and that's why we literally right away, we clicked, because it was like, oh my gosh, I'm going through X, Y, and Z. And then, we talked about the private school that my son went to, which was just such an eye-opening and such a gift that we were able to give him, which was just so, I just was so happy. Now he is back in mainstream, but we were going through a lot of the stuff when you and I got connected. So it was very interesting for me to be able to talk to you, because I was like, yes, this is exactly what I do. Every time I go into an IEP meeting, I'm like, stop focusing on his weaknesses. Guys, he has such strengths. Crazy enough, English and history are his strongest subjects, even though he's dyslexic. And you guys keep going to the things that are where his weaknesses are. He's not going to be a mathematician, and there's nothing wrong. I'm not putting him down. I am being realistic. So you guys, you need to do it too. And I get so passionate, and this is how I am in the IEP meetings. And sometimes my husband squeezes my leg because I get and this is the thing I say all the time. If you have a child, an athlete, okay, and they're in track and field, and they're really amazing at the high jump, but they're really slow. They're not fast. Do you make them keep sprinting, or do you put them on a high jump so they can master the high jump? That's what you do. And so why in school do we constantly just keep harping on, yes, I know you need to develop some of that, but you just like, he's a freshman in high school. We know what his strengths and weaknesses are. So how about we keep doing it? And it is an uphill battle. So I love that you're doing that. Are you guys doing that just in Southern California, or do you have plans on going virtually? Like, give us a little bit of information on that with the education, because that is so important. And I think it needs to be done like immediately.
Thank you, Juliet. You're such a fantastic mom and person. You're always helping others. I appreciate you so much. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Absolutely. We are virtual. We can make a greater impact with Educate 4 with going virtual. And we had that realization. And so there are positive things that came out of the pandemic, right? Is that so many people are realizing that we can pivot. I have my operations manager. She just up and moved from Ventura, California to Florida and bought a 5-bedroom house and said, oh, I can be a homeowner. So
right.
I do have ADHD, sorry. So I'll bring it back on track. So yes, virtually all of our sessions now are virtual, and we are getting the top professionals in the field for augmentative communication, for speech and language, for learning disabilities to present for Educate 4 and just really spread this knowledge to parents, professionals, and educators. We also have a new conference that we're launching for augmentative communication. May 15th, it's called CAMA, Communication Always Matters Always. So we're super excited about it.
Yeah, spell that, because
Sure, it's CAMA, and it's an acronym. In our field, we love acronyms. I know it's challenging, but CAMA, it's the CAMA Conference, and it's May 15th. We're super excited about it, but we will have a huge impact. We are doing something that we've never done before, and again, this is kind of from Clubhouse, is that we had this realization that so many people, like your neighbor, they use communication devices. Maybe they're not able to physically do a lot with their hands and their arms and their legs, but they need to be heard, they need to be seen. And we all are passionate about what we do in our careers, right? And we should be, at least. And if you're not, you need to stop what you're doing and rethink that.
Yes.
But we have to, right? We have to have this passion. And so what we just realized is we can take the coaching world and teach them how to work with people who are nonverbal or think differently, and give them those skills by having coaches help them find their purpose and start their own business. So we're super excited to be able to do that. And the proceeds from that conference will go to AAC users and helping them start their own companies. So I'm super excited.
Super excited. Well, I love, and this is one thing that when people say, right, when people learn different or whatever, like, and I think the world has really is gotten so much better at this, but like, you are a perfect opportunity. Like, school was hard for you, but look at the stuff that you're doing in the world to make a difference for other people. And you never stop. You're like, okay, what else can we do? Okay, we got this going. And that's what I absolutely adore about you, because you really do. You're like, okay, this is up and running and this is great. Now we're going to go to the next thing. What can we do next? And you really hone in and specialize in this, like in this technology education world. And I love that you just keep expanding to the people that you're helping. So thank you for what you do, and tell people where they can find you first and foremost. So, and then I have one other question. So first, tell us where they can find you on social media.
Absolutely. So dynamictherapysolutions.org is where you can find us, because .com was taken in Canada. I didn't know that when I was becoming a new business. Silly me. Educate4.com. And then we're on Facebook at Dynamic Therapy Solutions. We're also on Instagram. And coming soon, I'm going to start my own TikTok, but I don't have it yet.
I got to talk to you about that, because everyone keeps telling me I have to do it too. And I'm like, oh my God, another thing. Okay. But yes, we have to talk about that.
Let's do it. Let's do it together.
That would actually be really fun. We could totally have fun with that. Okay. So where on IG? So IG is also Dynamic
Dynamic Therapy Solutions is where you can find us on IG, and for Educate4 is educate_4.
Perfect. Okay, so I have a question. So if I am here listening and I work at a school, but I also like have abilities to get certain out, because I know in school districts it's really hard to get outside companies in, like they have all these freaking red tape. Who are the people in a school district that like I would go to, like my school district, and say, listen, you need to talk to these women? Like, who is the person I would go to start that conversation?
That's a fabulous question, Juliet. That is the Director of Special Education. And you will typically get his or her secretary, but then you will get to the Director of Special Education. And those administrators are really, if they need to, they'll take it up the channel. But for the most part, the Director of Special Education is going to help you get us into your school district. But that's the beauty of Educate4. You don't have to get your whole school district on board if you want to learn more, because our sessions are so affordable, like $25, $30, and you get CEUs for them. So you can always come and learn and change your school district from the inside yourself. But for evaluations, therapy, and training, absolutely the special ed director. And if you are a parent, the special education director.
Okay, so that's perfect. So what do we say? Because you know what email I'm going to be sending right after this call. What do we say to the special education director? Like, what are the words? Like, if you can give us like a really quick, topic or email, like what our like subject line should say. Can you do that? Is that too much to ask you, like right off the top of your head?
No, absolutely. There are two suggestions I have. Is one, you can always email me at Alisha, ALISHA, at dynamictherapysolutions.org, and I am happy to help create an email for you. If it's like you're a parent and you're looking for services or an evaluation, that's a little bit different, and they may get mad at you if you go directly to the special ed director. So you would go to your case manager and request a non-public agency or a private evaluation. And then you're going to give the reasons why, and that could be that you found a company that you feel would help with your son's dyslexia and that they specialize in these reading programs, and this is why, and that you may have to list some evidence of what hasn't happened within your experience in your son's education. So you may have to do a detailed email like that, but you do need to put it in writing and request it. And if you're just looking for us, if you're an educator and you think, oh my gosh, I really want them to speak at our school or for our school district, then you would go and write the special education director and say that you found this company, Educate4, they're teaching. You can go on and look at some of our sessions and see which one resonates for your school district, and then tell them about it. But again, always feel free to reach out to me, because any entity is different. Like if you're going through your healthcare provider, or if you're going through regional center or your school, you have to tailor it towards educational or vocational or health and wellness. So just kind of depends. But it is a great question. Thank you.
Yeah, but no, that's so important, because that's the thing. I feel like as a parent, it's sometimes hard because that there's things out there, and I know our district they are really, really difficult to get any outside because they feel like they have all the stuff. So also that's like the other thing is it better, and not better, because I guess the special education director is all over all schools. So it's not just the high school that gets through the elementary school and everything. Because I was going to say, is there someone like, if you were an elementary student, a parent, do you still go to the special ed director? Am I correct there?
So if you're a parent, first you may CC the special ed director, but you would probably go to your case manager first. So okay. Everybody, and that's sometimes your teacher or your RSP teacher is usually your case manager. And so, but the first thing is, you're absolutely right, you have to put it in writing. But if you just kind of depends. If it's your first time raising your hand saying, hey, I think I need this, but you've never said any of your concerns, you might just go with your case manager and give them the benefit of the doubt that they could help you. But if you've been a mom like Juliette Hahn, you've raised your hand quite a bit throughout the years.
Quite a bit.
Right. So if you're Juliette Hahn, you just go straight to that special ed director.
I was going to say
that makes sense.
Right. And the hand was nicely raised in the beginning, and I'm never disrespectful, but as anyone that is listening to this knows that has a child that has learning differences, you can't be quiet because it is a business and they don't care about your kid the way you care about it. And it was a hard realization when we were in a different district than we are now. But I remember saying to my mom and my husband, oh, but they love us. Like, they'll totally help out. And it was like, bam, no, you have to go through the same chains that everyone else does. And I was like, I mean, not that I thought I would get special, what is the word? Special. I can't think of the word, Kenny. Yeah, thank you. Kenny, take that out. So I didn't think I was going to get special treatment, but I just thought, okay, they really want to help my child because they absolutely adore him. He was not a problem child, like didn't get in trouble in school, always was trying, but kind of stayed under the radar because was like, I don't know what the hell's going on. And I kind of was that same kind of kid, even though I probably wasn't under the radar as much because I was more talkative than he was or is. So, but it was one of those things that it's like, okay, I now know that I can't be like all sweet and kind. I can be respectful and forceful at the same time. So I'm never disrespectful, but I am like, okay, guys, you know, it's me. This is what we need to talk about now. And I tell them all the time, I'm like, listen, I am not a helicopter mom. I don't enjoy this. So please just fucking do what I'm asking in the beginning. And I don't say fucking to them, but just do what I'm asking in the beginning. And then you never hear from me. And so like, that's exactly what's happening. Montgomery is doing fine in school right now, and they haven't heard from me. And so I hope they hear me like freshman year. This is high school. Okay, so next year, let's put those things in place so Juliette Hahn does not have to come and get in their faces and be like, okay, guys, we had this conversation last year. Like, what's going on? Like, I don't want to do that. I have other things to do. I want to know that they have the back of my child too. So I love that you have your business, that you're doing that. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I just can't thank you enough. So Alisha, and this was, by the way, guys, this was Alisha's idea. So I asked this now because we changed the name of the podcast. So I ask every one of my guests, what does Crazy Town mean to you in like 1 or 2 sentences?
Sure. So thank you so much. Crazy Town is, first you have to have the visual and the auditory, is a circus music, like dun 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 dun. That's going on. And it's probably today, having my period, doing a podcast, having a cold sore, taking care of my 3-year-old, looking at his credit card statement, seeing that my daughter has spent $4,000 on her credit card without a job, and
but that's not your 3-year-old.
No, that's not my 3-year-old. That's my 20-year-old in Long Beach State. She's amazing. I love you, Olivia. And then going on to my next thing and doing an evaluation and being very poised in an IEP meeting.
Which you can do, which I love. And that's what you could do so well. So in every episode, I'm also explaining what mine is like for that day. So my Crazy Town is always family, just like the energy, the chaos, the sometimes not the good, but a lot of times it's the good. It's like it's very warm hearted to me. It's like just the Crazy Town of just life. It's all of it. So, and our friendship, like, I mean, this is like, I'm so happy that we have been put in touch because we are going to be connected until we're old and gray. I'm gray now, but like, I got the hair colored, but we seriously will always be in each other's lives. And I absolutely adore you. I love everything you're doing. And I just want to thank you again so much for coming on and sharing your story. It's amazing. And it's amazing what you're doing for the educational fields.
Thank you so much. I adore you. Proximity is power because we were put in a room together and now we are lifelong friends. So thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Thank you. Guys, if you like what you hear, you know what to do. Share, subscribe, rate, and review. And don't forget to tune in to next week where you hear another woman share her passion and hobby that she turned into a career. We'll see you guys next week. I hope you liked this episode of Your Next Stop. Please subscribe to my channel, share with your friends, and join in each week.